Alright guys, so today we're going to be talking about how DSLRs are slowly getting discontinued. So Canon and Nikon have stopped completely of producing them because of the materials that they're making of them, and they think that there's not really much to add in, which is fair enough. I think apparently the money in terms of getting into these are quite expensive. Apparently in terms of the material, which is fair enough. So now they're just moving to mirrorless, which they'll continue to make more of them, as like the DSLRs, they had to use so much material for them. And also the pandemic didn't really help either, did it, for most companies around the world, especially cameras. So the DSLR market value of them just slowly started to go down, and it's pretty much declining. And then mirrorless are just like the ones that are just taking the sales in. But I still think DSLRs are okay. I think DSLRs are totally fine to use, such as, you know, film cameras as well. People are still using film cameras and DSLRs. Like, everyone's gonna have their own style of camera, of what they use and stuff like that. That is completely up to you if you want to move on to mirrorless. It's just that mirrorless is the new name for cameras, new name for camera brands and stuff like that. So I think it's sad that they moved on from it, but I can see fair enough why, because the new technology in terms of mirrorless is inevitable, and it's going to expand even more, and DSLRs have reached their peak. So DSLRs that have reached their peak in terms of, I think, mostly the viewfinder. I think they've gotten rid of those in terms of all mirrorless ones. So now you won't have this big thing here, which it still has it, but it's not as big. So obviously, but it's, for example, for cameras that have the mirrorless new technology, the R5, the R6, and the Sony A1. Those are just 3 examples of 3 cameras. So the R5 is obviously a little bit of a hybrid. I think it's actually getting a new technology added into cameras as well. If you got the R5, I think they are adding in new technology. The R6 is pretty good. Like, it's really good. I think the one I really want to get is the R6 Mark II, which I reckon is probably the best camera for Canon. Maybe, possibly. Actually, yes, it is probably the best camera I've seen. I've never used it, but in terms of what I've seen from it, it looks like the best camera for Canon they've ever produced. Besides my camera, I'm joking. This camera is about like 10 years old, so probably not. But the image quality for DSLRs are still good. Most DSLRs are still perfect in terms of what they can do. So don't be disheartened that Canon or whatever camera brand is has stopped. It's just that most of them don't want to be bankrupt by continuing to keep on going with DSLRs, such as Olympus. They kept on going, and they're not as they're still here. They're just not as popular as they would be right now if they discontinued. So some camera companies have decided to go against it and continue the DSLRs, but in terms of materials for them, it's slowly going down, which yeah. So yeah, hopefully you guys take something from this. I know DSLRs are probably everyone's favorite camera to use when they're starting. They are still the best cameras around. It's just that mirrorless are the new thing, the new camera in town. Let's go with that. So yeah, please like and subscribe, turn the notifications bell on, and I'll see you in the next one.